For this box, you will need 3 separate squares of paper, and it's actually very simple to create. So all we're going to do is 1 page at a time. Take your square, or in this case a diamond, which is really just a square on its side. Fold it in half to make a triangle. Now I found that this next part was easier if I had my fold at the top. Take 2 corners that are on a fold. So you can see the little beak is pointing at me. Take your 2 corners and bring them down to the 3rd corner. Put a crease. Alright, and then I'm putting another crease. So now it kind of almost looks like a fortune cookie. I'm going to open my corners, and I'm going to take the corner that I haven't yet folded, and I'm going to bring that all the way up to make another crease. And open it back up. So when I am done, I have my big triangle, and then I have a small triangle in the middle. Folding down my 2 corners to the 3rd to make my fortune cookie. And when I open it back up, I have a square. So now I'm folding the square up to make another triangle. Again, I am folding exactly the same way with the yellow. Now that I have all 3 of my pieces folded, it's time to start putting them together. Now, using either a glue bottle or the provided cup of glue and paintbrush, it is your choice. If you have a glue bottle at home, you are certainly welcome to use it. You could also use a glue stick. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on my yellow on the inside of the fold. And I'm going to slide my yellow inside the little flap of the blue. And it will completely line up, so you can see I can fold in my points again. And I'm just gonna do a little rub to get that glue set. Now I'm going to take the glue and I'm going to put it on my blue. I'm going to slide the blue into the red. Alright, and then I'm going to make sure that that's sticking. Now at this point, I have 1 little flap of yellow, 1 little flap of blue, and 2 flaps of red. So what I'm going to do now is put some glue on my red. And I'm going to close all of my folds and let these little bottom pieces overlap so that I can tuck the red into the yellow. And this may take a little bit of maneuvering, a little bit of practice to get it all the way in. And then I'm just, probably can't see it, but I'm just pressing down. So now all of my 3 pieces are also inside of my other 3 pieces. Now I have all of the bottom flaps down here, and I can also access them here. So what I'm going to do is some glue. Don't need a lot, but I'm just putting some Elmer's glue on the glue so that I can glue it to the red. And then from the inside, lift up the yellow, put down your glue on the glue, and close it up. You can also glue between. You can see here that I have 2 pieces of yellow, so I can go layer by layer instead of color by color. Make sure that everything is nice and secure. This is just regular Elmer's glue, so I would, give it a few minutes, maybe an hour, however long you want to wait for it to dry. And this was made using a half sheet of printer paper. So you can see it has an entirely flat bottom. In fact, what I was saying before is I can put some glue on my red. Probably should have glued my blue onto my blue as well. So this is an entirely flat bottom. And if you use a large enough piece of cardstock, you could probably put popcorn or pretzels or chips in this if you want to have a really fun Zoom party or anything like that. The next box we're going to make is this lovely pentagram box. It's a 5-sided box, and it does not sit flat, it does sit in an angle. This particular one, you can see I've got it full of lovely conversation hearts. To make the geometric bowl, which you can make in any color you can imagine, you're going to need to print out 2 templates from the blog The Craft Patch. And I would like to say a big thank you to Jennifer, who owns and operates the Craft Patch blog, for her templates and for her blog post that I am using to make this entire video. So once you have your templates printed out, which your cardstock will come pre-printed, go ahead and cut them out along the outside edge only, both pages. Once you have your template cut out, you're going to cut along the dashed lines on both templates. Now all we have to do is fold and glue. One of these we will be folding along every single line towards the inside, and on the other we will be folding those same lines but to the outside. have everything folded, and you can see that it does kind of already form itself into a bowl shape. This is going to be our outside of the bowl. I'm going to take that and put it aside, and then fold this one outward. So we can flip it over and start folding. Alright, so now we have basically two bowls. We have one with all of the lines and numbers from the printing on the inside, and one with all of the lines and numbers from the printing on the outside. So we're going to start with our inside bowl first, which is the one that has all of the printing on the outside. Now, if it helps, you can flatten it back out just so you can get a look at where you're going for the first one. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of glue on the number, and then we are going to slide it over so that it is fully connected to the one next to it. And you will see that puts number 2 to where we can slide it under this flap. Number 3 now has a little flap next to it, so we can slide that in. 4, 5, and then 6 is all the way in the corner. And when we've got it glued, we will have our little box. There we go. My glue bottle is being very stubborn. I've got my glue, so I'm just squeezing number 1 underneath. Now I'm going to apply glue on number 2 and cover that up. So I have a little dab of glue on number 2, and I can cover that. I think this is where having the paintbrush may come in handy, because then you can spread your glue around the entire triangle. So let's give that a try. I've got a little bit of glue in my cup, and I'm just going to paint number 3 with glue. And slide it underneath. And you can always put your piece face down. So you can see this is my number 3, and all I did was put it on the table so that I can use the table to really press it in place and make sure that it is solid. Now I'm going to do number 4. Oh, that was a bad idea. Not a bad idea brushing it on, but a bad idea going over my wrist, because now I have a trail of Elmer's on the back of my hand. Alright, so number 4 going underneath, and I'm just going to hold that, squish it onto the tabletop. Oops. Make sure that it's all lined up. You don't want a gap. You want one triangle perfectly into the other one. I'm left-handed, so I'm moving the glue over to the left-hand side so I don't go across my hand again. I am putting glue all over number 5. Doesn't need to be a lot of glue. I'm just kind of spreading a nice, thin, even layer and folding down on top of it. Oops, there we go. And now I'm going to do number 6. My nice little layer of glue. I'm just going to carefully pull this around so that the number 6 goes underneath the flap next to it. There we go. Now, it does need a little bit more time to dry, but that is the finished interior of my bowl. And you can see I have all of the lines and a couple of the cut marks on the outside. So I'm going to put this aside to dry, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with this half, except I am not going to glue 5 and 6. I'm going to wait on those. So I'm putting glue on number 1. And folding it over. So I have everything glued down except for 5 and 6. So I do have this lovely flap left open on this side. What I need to do is, because this is the inside of my bowl, I need to cover the outside of the inside in glue. We are going to put together the 2 sections that have writing, or that have the printed out template. We are going to put them together so that you don't see the template in your finished bowl. And that's why I have this last flap with numbers 5 and 6 open, because that gives me a little bit of room to try and maneuver. I am going to run some glue all the way around and use my paintbrush, or in this case my glue brush, to spread it out. Now I'm going to carefully, and I am doing this while the glue on my flaps is still a little wet. You might want to wait, but I'm going to slot this together. There we go. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my paintbrush and I'm going to slide some glue into all of the sections because we glued here, and now we are going to glue everywhere else. So I'm just slipping the paintbrush in between the two bowls, and then squeezing them in this section here. Because I had not glued those two flaps, I can go ahead and easily paint my glue onto that triangle, fold down my flap 5. I can come around and put some glue on that triangle and glue it down. So now I kind of have the inner flaps glued down, and I'm going to go ahead and put glue on all 3 of these sections and then just glue it up. So I've got glue on all 3 of those triangles, and I'm just going to slide my outer shell in place, making sure to pinch on all 3 triangles. Okay, and I have one more section. I'm just going to put my glue brush in there, swirl it around, and then pinch it. And then just like any other project with glue, you wait for it to dry. Once it is dried fully, I can go back with a pair of scissors, and where the edges don't quite line up, I can just trim that. And now I have a perfect bowl on the inside and the outside where you cannot see the template lines. Once this is dry and trimmed, I can put whatever I want in it. It would look great as a desk accessory. The benefit of doing it with white cardstock is also that you can draw your own pattern. This one was made with metallic foil cardstock,